The opening cinematic of Lao Shan Lung in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite is enough to make a hunter abandon the quest. His size alone makes you question everything. Before he attacks, before he roars, before he even reaches the fortress, you already start asking yourself, how am I supposed to overcome this? How am I supposed to stop this giant elder dragon? He is larger than the fortress you are standing in. You look at the weapon in your hands, and suddenly it feels ridiculous. A long sword, a great sword, a blade made from monsters you once feared. Against Lao Shan Lung, all of it looks small. Would he even feel it? He is not merely a monster. He is a mountain. And how do you hurt a mountain? At the beginning of the quest, you are standing inside the fortress while Lao Shan Lung walks on 4 limbs. Even like that, he is still larger than you. Larger than the structures around you. Larger than the idea of a normal hunt. Then he stands on 2 limbs, as if telling you, I am not only larger than your fortress, I am taller than it. That moment alone tells you that this trouble is too large for you. Go home. Run away. Abandon the quest. Return to Pak village with your tail between your legs. Because this is not Tigrex. This is not Rajong. This is not Nargacuga. This is not a monster that charges toward you with anger in its eyes. This is something else. Something too large to care. Something that moves as if your existence does not matter. You need to find all the courage in your reservoir just to continue. Lao Shan Lung is overwhelming. Not because he attacks you with complicated moves. Not because he hunts you. But because his presence alone makes you feel meaningless. If you do not have enough courage inside you, this kind of quest can make you stop playing the entire game. Fortunately, I had enough courage in reserve. Somehow, I continued. But courage was only enough to make me enter the quest. It was not enough to make me understand it. I remember Lao Shan Lung because this was the first time in Freedom Unite that I seriously used a ranged weapon. Not because I wanted to become a gunner. Not because I wanted to try something new. I used a ranged weapon because I had no other choice. My usual long sword and great sword did not make sense. Against most monsters, I wanted to feel the clash. The impact of my blade against claws, shells, fangs, tails, jaws, and wings. That was how I hunted. That was how I felt connected to the fight. I wanted the intensity of being close. I wanted to hear the strike, feel the danger, stand beside the monster and know that every second mattered. But with Lao Shan Lung, that feeling disappeared. My long sword felt like a toothpick. I tried attacking him with melee weapons. I went underneath him. I swung at his stomach. I tried to do what I always did. But the hunt did not respond like a normal hunt. He was constantly moving. His body was too large. His rhythm did not belong to a duel. To make melee work, I needed the target to behave like a target. Lao Shan Lung did not. When my spirit bar was not full, my attacks bounced. Even when my weapon connected, it did not feel like a clash. He did not react like Tigrex. He did not answer like Rajong. He did not punish like Nargacuga. He simply kept walking. That was frustrating. Not because I was weak, but because I was using the wrong language. The hunt was speaking siege. I was answering with swordsmanship. So I abandoned the quest, returned to the village, went to the weaponsmith, checked my options, and I settled on the Heavy Bowgun. I made the necessary improvements. Then I went to the training school to practice using it. That part matters, because this was not simply changing weapons. This was me going against my own decree, against my own principle, against my own pride. I was not a gunner. I was a long sword and greatsword hunter. But Lao Shan Lung forced me to ask a question I did not yet know how to ask. Am I choosing this weapon because it is right for the hunt? Or because it is who I want to believe I am? That question is painful for any hunter. Because sometimes the problem is not the monster. Sometimes the problem is the way we insist on facing it. After practicing with the Heavy Bowgun, I returned to the quest. This time, I had a plan. In the opening area of the fortress, where the dramatic cinematic first shows Lao Shan Lung, I realized something. That area was not only there for intimidation. It was a damage window. A ranged weapon could use that space. A melee weapon could not use it properly. The Heavy Bowgun allowed me to damage Lao Shan Lung before he even fully entered the area. It allowed me to fire while he approached. It allowed me to keep firing as he passed. It allowed me to continue dealing damage until he moved out of range toward the next zone. More opportunity, more damage windows. A better response to the true nature of the hunt. The first time I saw him flinch after several pierced shots, I felt something change. It was not victory, not yet, but it was proof. Proof that the mountain could be hurt. Proof that my old way was not the only way. Proof that the problem had never been impossible. I had simply misread it. There were structures in the Lao Shan Lung quest that felt like they were placed specifically for ranged weapon users. One structure I remember clearly was the platform in Area 2. You could climb there and keep firing while Lao Shan Lung banged against the wall to reach the next area. With a melee weapon, the quest felt impossible. With the Heavy Bowgun, the quest felt like, now you have a chance. That is a very important difference. Sometimes in life, a problem looks impossible because we are trying to solve it with the wrong part of ourselves. We bring pride when humility is needed. We bring anger when patience is needed. We bring force when distance is needed. We bring the long sword to a siege. And then we blame the mountain for not bleeding. With the Heavy Bowgun, I proceeded according to my plan. I started attacking him from the fortress area where the dramatic first encounter happened. I made him flinch there. Then I waited in Area 1. As he approached, I started firing. I planted 2 bombs where he entered and shot them as he passed. Then I kept firing. When he moved beyond range, I stopped. Moved to the next area. Waited. Fired as he approached. Bombed as he entered. Fired as he passed. Fired until he was out of range again. Again and again. Area after area. Bullet after bullet. The quest became a rhythm. Not a duel. A siege. Not a monster hunt. A response to a moving mountain. But before I understood that, I had earlier attempts using melee. And one memory from those attempts stayed with me. I was attacking his stomach. He was about to reach the end of the area. So I disengaged. I ended up on the right side and casually walked toward the entrance to the next area. Nothing dramatic. Nothing reckless. I was simply moving to where I needed to go. Then his tail swung as he walked. It hit me. My hunter got dragged. I stood up. I was still fine. I kept walking. Then the tail hit me again. Dragged me again. And there it was. Base camp. At least I was where I wanted to be. That is funny now. But after 20 years, I realized that tail cart may be the most important memory in the entire hunt. Because Lao Shan Lung was not attacking me. He was not angry. He was not targeting me. He was not punishing me. He was not trying to cart me. He was simply walking. The tail was not an attack. It was collateral. That is terrifying in a different way. When Rajang carts you, Rajang defeated you. When Tigrex carts you, Tigrex punished you. When Nargacuga carts you, Nargacuga outplayed you. When Lao Shan Lung carts you, a mountain kept walking. That is not the same thing. That tale taught me something I did not understand then. Not every hardship is directed at you. Not every disaster is personal. Not every wound is caused by an enemy. Sometimes you are simply standing beside something too large to notice you. That is Lao Shan Lung. He is not fighting the hunter. He is moving, and you are in the way. In the final area, I used the waiting time to clear the path. If you want to use cannons, you need to clear the Ayaprice. As Lao Shan Lung approached the final area and the silhouette of his head began to appear, I started firing ballista shots. When he came close enough, I used the Dragonator. Then I went down and used every bullet I had against him. I kept firing, shot after shot, shell after shell. Everything I brought, everything I prepared, everything I could do. Then suddenly, the sound of the quest clear interrupted me. What? Quest clear? He was not dead. I remember that confusion. I expected a corpse. I expected the mountain to fall. I expected the game to confirm victory in the way I had been trained to understand victory. But Lao Shan Lung was still alive. He was repelled. And only then did I realize something. You do not have to kill Lao Shan Lung. You only have to repel him. That realization stayed with me. At first, it felt like a game mechanic. After 20 years, it feels like a life lesson. And I will never forget Lao Shan Lung's expression during the quest clear animation. Looking back, I believe it was perfect. As if he was telling me, "What are you doing? I was only trying to pass by peacefully. Why are you treating me this way? Cannons, bullets, bombs, Dragonator. Anyway, but that is Lao Shan Lung. Not a villain, not a predator, not a challenger. A moving reality. A mountain that passes through your life and forces you to decide what kind of response is appropriate. That is where discernment begins. For years, I thought Lao Shan Lung was about courage. And courage is necessary. Without courage, you abandon the quest after the opening cinematic. Then I thought it was about endurance. And endurance is necessary. Without endurance, the size, pressure, and slow march of the quest will break you. Then I thought it was about perseverance. And perseverance is necessary. Without perseverance, you will not return to the weaponsmith, upgrade the Heavy Bowgun, practice in the training school, and attempt the quest again. Then I thought it was about persistence. And persistence is necessary. Without persistence, you will not fire area after area, bullet after bullet, until the final fortress. Then I thought it was about acceptance. And acceptance is necessary. Because eventually, you must accept that Lao Shan Lung does not need to die for the quest to be cleared. But after 20 years, I think there is something beneath all of them. Discernment. The ability to recognize what kind of problem you are actually facing. Because if you misread the problem, everything that follows becomes wrong. Wrong weapon, wrong strategy, wrong expectation, wrong definition of victory. That was my mistake. I thought Lao Shan Lung was asking, "Can you kill me?" He was not. He was asking, "Can you understand what this hunt truly requires?" There is an episode in Hunter x Hunter during the early stages of the Hunter exam where Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio are forced to answer a question. They only have 1 minute. The question gives them a life and death situation. You can only save one. Your mother or your wife. Who do you save? Leorio gets furious. Kurapika tries to calm him down. Gon simply watches. Poker-faced. They pass without giving an answer. Because the test was not about choosing correctly. The test was about recognizing that the question itself could not be answered properly. That is discernment. Sometimes wisdom is not giving the correct answer. Sometimes wisdom is realizing that you are being asked the wrong question. Lao Shan Lung was my hunter exam. The question I thought I was answering was, how do I kill this mountain? But the real question was, do I even need to? And after 20 years, that question becomes painful. Because life gives us Lao Shan Lung more often than we want. The passing of someone we love. A loss so large that no weapon can cut it. No plan can reverse it. No amount of anger can bring them back. When someone we love dies, our first instinct is to fight reality itself. We ask questions that have no answer. Why now? Why them? What if I had done something differently? What if I had called? What if I had been there? We try to solve death. But death is not a monster to be slain. It is a mountain passing through the fortress of our lives. We cannot kill it. We cannot bring them back. We can only endure the absence, carry the memory, let grief pass through us without allowing it to destroy everything behind us. The same is true with the end of a relationship. When a relationship ends after years of nurturing, planning, dreaming, and imagining a future together, it feels impossible. You built a life in your mind. You planned the road. You thought you would walk it together. Then life happens. Circumstances change. People change. Love changes. And suddenly the future you imagined is gone. At first, you try to solve it. You search for the perfect conversation, the perfect apology, the perfect explanation, the perfect version of yourself who could have made everything stay. But sometimes, no matter what you do, you cannot force someone to remain in your life. Yes, you will miss her. Yes, you will remember. Yes, the need to feel her presence will hurt. That is the hard part. But the end of a relationship is not always a monster attacking you. Sometimes it is Lao Shan Lung, something enormous passing through, something that changes the landscape, something you cannot kill, something you can only survive until it leaves. And eventually, maybe, you find someone new, someone better, or maybe you simply become someone new, someone capable of carrying the memory without being crushed by it. That is discernment, knowing what can be changed, knowing what must be endured, knowing what must be released, knowing when victory means something different from conquest. Because not every mountain is meant to fall. Some mountains are meant to pass. After 20 years, I no longer think Lao Shan Lung was teaching me how to use a heavy bowgun. He was not teaching me how to use ballista shots. He was not teaching me how to use the Dragonator. He was not even teaching me how to repel an elder dragon. He was teaching me how to see. He taught me that courage gets you through the gate. Endurance keeps you standing. Perseverance helps you change your method. Persistence carries you to the final area. Acceptance helps you live with the result. But discernment tells you what the hunt was asking of you in the first place. That is the lesson I missed when I was younger. I thought Lao Shan Lung was an enemy. He was not. I thought the quest was asking me to kill him. It was not. I thought my long sword failed because I lacked strength. It failed because I lacked understanding. The mountain was never asking me to swing harder. It was asking me to see clearly. You do not have to solve Lao Shan Lung. You do not have to kill him. You only have to repel him. You only have to endure what cannot be solved. You only have to recognize when the problem in front of you is not a battle to be won, but a reality to be faced. And maybe that is the hardest kind of wisdom, because a hunter can train courage. A hunter can train discipline. A hunter can prepare. A hunter can become cunning. A hunter can become worthy. But discernment requires something else. It requires the humility to admit, I may be asking the wrong question. And after 20 years, when I remember that walking mountain, I no longer ask, how do you hurt a mountain? I ask something else. What is the proper way to face one? Lao Shan Lung never answered me with words. He simply kept walking. Area after area, fortress after fortress, tail swinging behind him. Not angry, not cruel, not even aware, just moving. And perhaps that was the answer all along. Some things in life will not stop because we are afraid. They will not turn around because we are grieving. They will not shrink because we are unprepared. They will simply keep moving. And when they pass through our lives, the lesson is not always how to defeat them. Sometimes the lesson is knowing whether they were ever meant to be defeated at all. That is discernment. And that is what Lao Shan Lung taught me. Not how to kill a mountain, but how to understand one.